Hey, everybody. It is Tuesday. This is Trekland HQH2 version 2, and we are live. Hey, is the Strange New Worlds honeymoon really over? Today, yes, we're going there on episode 413 of Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemechek, coming at you here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 for some sanity, clarity, and a bigger picture in all things Star Trek. And yes, it is the home of Trekland Treks, among other things, your unique away mission, your unique U-planet customized landing party, depending on your century, to actual location film sites around Southern California that you choose, not sets, location sites. So we've got a menu of over 50 places you can choose from in your day, in your 6 hours and 4 stops. Love to plan one of those with you. We've got plenty of summer and nice weather left here in SoCal. And so everybody's popping in. It's great to see everybody here on another Tuesday. Yes, I'm going to go there this week just to kind of like take a breather, because I feel like I've just kind of been smacked in the face like the Monty Python fish dance here with amazement balls about this one. But hey, look, if you are new to Trekland Tuesdays Live, I want to welcome everybody. If you found your way here, we have an incredible bunch of folks around the world at this time, just so you know. That's why I do this in the afternoon. I know that's weird. In 2017, there was no rule book anyway, and that's when I started this crazy experiment, hand holding on a Facebook on a Facebook Live on my phone, hand holding and with one hand and doing the chat with the other finger. I know we've come so far, but I'm glad you could join us today. You'll see in the chat we've got a wonderful bunch of TTLers again from around the world. Here's the thing: if you're joining us on YouTube, that's the best. You get to see all the comments, and you can also slip us a little silver if you would. This is a super chat monetized. It's not monetized much, but it's monetized that much with YouTube where you can do that. I appreciate it if you want to slip me a couple of bucks for your question, because we will get to all the chat questions. I've got a little soapbox here, and then I will even back scroll. So you can save it, you can jump it out. If you come and go and have to leave us at some point, I'll still try to get to your question. I won't know that you're gone until you tell me later. But seriously, we've got such a good community here. If you're on Facebook, you're only going to see the comments from Facebook, just to know. Twitch, you'll see everything. But for those 4 people coming in on Twitch, why do I bother? I'm just, infinite diversity, right? Infinite development, infinite combination. I can really talk today. Idic, 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 we used to say. Don't scream idic at me. Yeah, as a joke. No, good to see everybody on this Tuesday. Look, if you're joining us later on YouTube, that's wonderful. Keep the conversation going. Leave a comment below. I hope we rile up somebody or just provoke some thoughtful reaction. It's all good. It doesn't have to be raging, but it does continue on YouTube, and I appreciate you all joining us a little bit later when these are edited. Maybe you can join us live on a Tuesday sometime as we're watching the live crowd here jump in the chat, and the live chat will be preserved with the live show on YouTube too. It's never quite lost to history. So what are you saying, Larry? What are you saying? Well, let's just dive in, okay? Actually, into Star Trek this week. Number one, I did want to say, I want to thank again Stephanie Turek last week for being my guest. That was an awesome show. I knew it would be another one of a kind. Guys, I don't look for those. Things just go, oh, this deserves to be amplified and boosted. And most of all, preserved in the moment. And I can't help it that maybe Stephanie didn't have anywhere else to talk about that incredible promotional street dance performance from Comic-Con for Star Trek in the street, which they wound up, I guess, performing 4 times, once, and then twice at the lodge. Anyway, the live version, the edited version is up, and I want to apologize. I didn't realize in the moment that I was having so much latency lag issue last week. So, thanks everybody for your patience and appreciating what Stephanie had to say. My picture was in and out and her audio was off. The edited version that's up right now, we minimized me as much as possible, but most of all, we got all of her audio in sync. I don't want any of that to take away from the wonderful time we had and just seeing the same enthusiasm and Trek pride and some newfound Trek pride and affinity in her, reflecting the whole JFI dance troupe company, Just Fix It, from Los Angeles. And it's viral on, you can see the dance and clips and all of that. I did a live that's preserved on mine. I know I'm going back to last week here, but I just want to let you know, thank you for your patience last week. And also, we have cleaned it up as much as we can. I'm not the important part. She is, and she looks great. And the story is looking great and wonderful. And I'm so glad to have a part in preserving that. And at some point, we'll try to get the whole thing up uninterrupted. And she did send the credits for the entire company, and I do want to get that posted. There's nothing I hate more than having a performance and having absolutely nobody credited, not even the leadership, much less everyone involved. And that's not, there's a lot of hard work and a lot of pride goes into that. And yes, the initial feedback from the audience is the most important thing until people remember there's a legacy moment to all this. So there's that. So thanks again. That's last week. Here we have another soapbox week. This is what made us TTL. And everybody, if you're signing into the chat, whether you're a newbie or a veteran, let us know where you're coming from. How's the weather? How's the trek where you are? We're going to be talking about Strange New this week. I'll try to say worlds at the end of it. But I got to say, I'm just really surprised in recent days about this reaction to the most recent Strange New Worlds episode, right? What is Starfleet? I have to say, this is just an honest thing. Doing, when New Trek came back, and I'm not saying that to be snarky, when modern Trek came back in 2017, and I mean week, I don't mean the movies, I mean weekly. I mean small scale adventures, small screen adventures. They weren't scaled small at all. It was something. We watched them. We did oh my God, this is ages ago when the Improvised Generation was having their live. Wonderful, that cast. Improvised based on the TNG era. Disco started, and we would do a team up on Sunday nights with their performance. And then we'd have a screening in their little improv black box theater. Just project on the wall. My account, wasn't ripping CBS All Access off. Those were simpler days in some ways. Anyway, the last 3 or 4 years ago, thanks to some think tanking here, and yes, Scott prodding me, we came up with the format for Second Opinion. I was watching the rest of the world talk weekly about the show. This didn't always feel on Tuesday Live like the place to do it. I wanted to be a little bit higher edge on the production, so we came up with Second Opinion with Dr. Trek. Get it? No, I loved it. And the format and the way the format kind of just organically grew. It was my reaction. I wasn't trying to do a formal review. I just wanted to take what I think as I watch a show an episode for the first time and try to translate that, maybe heightened a little bit, maybe sprinkled and spritzed with some fun stuff too, and visual examples. And that's been, since that era, I'm in the same tank as everyone else who's trying to do some kind of a review show. I don't want to say that Star Trek then becomes work, because it can never be that. That's why it's almost a privilege. It's almost a sacred moment to still have your fanboy moment the first time you see a new Trek, because you can never take that away, right? You envy the people who are just now doing their first watches. A lot of people have these great YouTube shows. Whatever the sophistication of the production is, it's still fun to watch people. And some people totally, they do the as I'm watching it, you're watching me YouTubes. And that's all cool. That's all cool. It's another take of how people try to react and enjoy and share what this franchise means to them. This IP, I guess, is what we say now. But that does color the way I look at a show. And part of that is just the speed. Part of that's the time factor. I do try to watch every episode at least twice before I finish recording a second opinion. And what I ideally love is to be able to get some of the reaction, at least the first day reaction to episodes. Sometimes there are points I didn't think about. Sometimes I kind of smile because I had a point that seemed huge to me that no one else caught, or whatever. Whether it's big or it's anally trivial, I don't know. And this was one of those weeks, but also I just want to bemoan the fact that now doing a weekly reaction show, ideally we get it done by when it's almost a luxury to be able to watch the actual broadcast and not the screener, which has lousy sound and no captions. It's almost a luxury to watch Midnight Wednesday. And then it's almost a luxury to even see at 10 a.m. on Thursday what the first reactions are from people. So all that said, sometimes fandom does surprise me. And I wish that I could take a third and a fourth and a fifth take on episodes sometimes, because sometimes they don't just smack you viscerally the first time. Sometimes they do, or at least me. In all cases, I'm talking about myself. Your mileage may vary, as we say online. And I've heard it was a phrase used before that. But this week, I'd almost forgotten what this feels like. Although, to be honest, it's been kind of a little bubbling trend out there. And again, I'm talking about online. I've had the chance to see folks live. We had where we premiered for San Diego. I don't know, but certainly by Vegas, we had the 4th episode out, sneak peeked and out. Yeah, I think so. And this has been kind of a theme this season, but boy, it kind of fish slap danced me last week. Because look, I'd almost forgotten, but between Lord X, Picard season 3, and then all of Strange New so far, those early days, the weekly toxic tubers, the haters during the early Disco and Picard seasons, it all seemed like a distant memory. And I'm not saying that's what we've had lately. One thing that's different is there was just a lot of weird trolling and just weird toxic hate, racism, misogyny, people that had no clue about Star Trek. It's like Star Trek got on their doomsday machine proximity radar of social pop culture overlap. And they didn't really come from a place of knowing Star Trek. Now, a lot of people that were legit Star Trek fans were in pain about some of the aspects of Discovery and earlier Picard. And I get that. And I always try to divide that up and say, hey, I'm always here for legit criticism. But some of the crap, some of the 2 women of color in the trailer crap just had no place over here. Now, it's interesting. We had a 2-year wait for season 3, and it feels differently now. I'm just saying. Now, look, they look different. Season 3, Strange New, is no doubt and is self-proclaimed. They're taking, love this phrase, bigger swings, right, at tones and genres, offbeat formats. Now we have a new phrase, the gimmick shows. We had the filler shows. That was a phrase that came up. I always thought the filler shows were take-a-breath shows. But how do you filler shows when you weren't doing serialized storytelling? I don't know. But there you go. And I have to say this, those early years, Discovery is getting a fresh look now after 8 years since that premiere, right? It's getting, 8 years of the modern era here. And we've gotten used to streaming itself, much less serialized storytelling. So a lot of those shockwaves from early Disco, I really am looking forward to sitting down and doing a Disco rewatch. But you know what? Even beloved Picard season 3 had a backlash. Remember the nostalgia porn and the member berries? There was backlash even for something that's hilarious. So I will say this. The recent weeks have been kind of mounting that way about things with Strange New. And then, yes, what is Starfleet has been interesting. Look, I thought Hegemony Part 2 got pretty good reviews. It finished off the Borg story, set up some questions and mysteries and drama. Wedding Bell Blues turned a lot of people off as too silly, as the general from Monty Python would say. Shuttle to Confori seemed to hit a mixed bag a little bit, like a lot of admiration for the drama and the character work, but a lot of eye rolling about the all species zombies. Why did it all have to be crammed in there? I don't know. Then Through the Lens of Time seemed to satisfy all the folks who wanted, Mystery Planet missions, get back to basic Star Trek that way. Even though that's the one that I had been the most roiled up about, because I felt like half of the hour they have amnesia over what the Star Trek universe operates, about how it works. No one knew how to scan. No one, the little life forms that they loved to sing about, apparently escaped folks 100 years earlier in this episode. How to use tricorders, maybe a landing party protocol manual. But anyway, amazing show, visually beautiful, and eventually got there. So it's been an interesting series, season, I should say. And then, boy, howdy, is it Starfleet wake up the chickens? It feels to me, again, that way. I mean, some love the documentary framing, some hated it. Folks, I think mostly loved the Jakari, the traditional, the Trek monster is not a monster, or the unwilling weapon plot. But a lot of people were moaning about why it was wasted inside that documentary frame. And, and some like me thought that whole, Beta brought a narrative to his documentary. He was tainted, out to prove a point. That all felt like it was worthwhile. But to me, it felt like it was rushed. It was crammed at the end. It was too little, too late. And resolved too quickly, even as it was not really resolved. But then again, on the other hand, some people were upset by the fact that to even have the concept of Starfleet as soldiers of the Empire, or scientists of the Federation. What's the actual true story? Are they colonizers or explorers? And some were even thinking that just using that phraseology meant that it was another woke poke by current Trek makers. Well, on that one, I have to disagree. I have to just say, as I said on my second opinion, that has been debated ever since 1969. The whole, is Starfleet a military or is it a science organization? And Gene would always say it's a science organization. And fandom would look at Gene and say, then why do we have ranks? And why do we have weapons? And the best Gene might say was, well, it was the best of the British Navy in the 1890s, sending out exploration missions around the world to the 7 seas. And then people would push back and say, oh, the same 1890s British Empire that was colonizing half the world. The sun never sets on the British Empire. So no, it's not a thing. I mean, even Mike McMahon took the old, soldiers or explorers trope and used it as one of those wonderful meta fan debate questions and worked it into the dialogue at the career fair in the debate, right? At the Starfleet recruitment tent there. So to me, this was not a how dare you tear down Star Trek moment. It was a, wow, that was rushed moment. That's why I was a little iffy. I mean, if anything, I thought the whole issue was too poo-pooed and too throwaway and moved way past it way too quickly. So yeah, in a word, I was first off curious though about that running time, 40 minutes. Instantly I thought, is this intentional? Then I saw that it was going to be the documentary. I went, oh, okay, well, it's 40 minutes to feel like a documentary. And then as it ended, I thought, did some of that just not cut together well, as they say? Did some of the scenes and footage have to be jettisoned because it just didn't work in the end? And that's how you got to 40, not 50 minutes or even 45. So look, it's been happening. This is that's the initial thing. I will say there was positives about the show, right? I actually thought that so far that the season so far, I will say, that the drama has been handled adroitly. The horror has been handled well. God, the visual effects and the AR wall, they're really up to par in the episodes when they're allowed to have a budget for them and not try to lean on the graphics. Although, hey, shout out to Tim Peel and the graphics team. Love them, love them, love them. I want to say we have a real sense of place thanks to the star charts based on stellar cartography. We have a uniform system that they are adding to on their own. If I ever get to do an update, it won't be near as much work from the Strange New Worlds side of things because they're locating systems as they go on the master chart. Yay. And I'll even say that the comedy seems to be fearless in trying it. And if it ever does fall flat, it always feels like it was a risk worth taking. I haven't felt like, or I'll say most of the time it does come off, and I haven't felt really insulted or that they were flailing around. Not, as I said, I did a new podcast this week for me, Trek Explorations with Albie and Christopher. You might look for that coming up. And we talked about this episode too. And I would just say that we were talking about how the comedy in this episode seemed to come from the characters. That felt like some folks were upset about Wedding Bell Blues was just wacky. As long as the comedy comes from within the characters, you're right back in trouble with Tribble's world, if it's organic to the people. Yeah, most of the time it comes off, I think. So, I don't know, from the droll 30s, you know, the bringing up baby, the slapstick comedy, not slapstick, but the wacky do comedy. And yeah, even Wedding Bell Blues. And I will say this next week's show, 4.5 Vulcans. Some folks may be bracing for that. We were doing our that podcast was about that. I've got to do second opinion for 4.5 Vulcans. Hang on. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. If you're really worried about that, I think it'll be fine. Okay. So I don't know. Will time wear down these hot takes? I mean, doesn't it always? Oh my God, look what time has done for Deep Space Nine and Voyager. And now even Enterprise. Back in the day, we love to talk, for the newer fans, we love to bring up how people were pissed about the beginning of Next Gen, much less DS9 and all the rest after that. I mean, you know, as fans, we watch a fresh airing a first time. And I said, you never want to forget the freshness of the first time, but isn't the first time also when we are at our knee jerkiest? I mean, it's almost human nature. It's almost going to be that way, right? So, yeah, show to show to show, episode to episode to episode, there's that. And again, that feels like the week-to-week crisis controversy from those early disco days. Oh my God, he dropped the F-bomb. Yeah. So hold on. Strange New World Season 3. Let's pull back to 100,000 feet. Let's take a meta view here. Because I think what some folks have identified is a lot of people are making these criticisms of the show, not just about the moments and the tones of the episode, but when it gets right down to it, using what looks like we're not in a post scarcity economy when it comes to these episodes. We're still in a scarcity economy. And there's only 10 slots a season, and people are freaking out that you're using your 10 slots for these gimmick shows. I mean, even the big swing shows and the high concept episodes, I think a lot of people say, this would be fine in an 18 episode season, much less 20 or 22, or good old 26 from the syndicated days. And I get it. I agree. So yeah, let's hop back to those season 2, those heady days here on Strange New Worlds, right? And remember what happened with season 2. We were getting season 2 during the writer's strike. But of course it had been written and locked and filmed. months before that, right? So they had taken the risk with the crossover show with those old scientists and with Subspace Rhapsody, the musical, the big risks of season 2 that now are so famous. That had all happened way before the strike. They were kind of in a vacuum. They barely had any reaction to the first season, barely. So season 3 that we're in now, those tones, those choices to take those 10 episode slots and do what they were, those were all made before the writer's strike of 2023. Remember? The writer's room was interrupted. In fact, it was the last couple of episodes that were interrupted. I want to say is this Starfleet or the one before? They were interrupted by the strike. Everybody put down their pencils, came back to it and finished the season, and then started filming a few months later, which is all part of the reason why we had this insane 2-year cliffhanger wait between the seasons. So basically, everything that you're seeing done now, they were all done and dusted. At least half of them or more, they were on the board if they weren't totally scripted. Before the writer's room, the producers had ever seen the reaction to the crossover and to the musical. So they, in their gut, were feeling like they pulled it off and they could do this. I mean, it was probably a huge relief that both of them met mostly positive. I mean, the musical sing-alongs were a big deal at conventions and events and meetups and street parties. I don't know how many times, Bill Wolkoff got to lead a sing-along at a con somewhere. And of course, in the weird year of the strikes, people were looking for different kind of things to do that weren't standard Q&A sponsored by studios. So I think it was a big relief that they were met with such success and acclaim, and that nobody had to do an 11th hour going and ripping up the board and retooling what at least maybe the second half or all or most all of this season was going to look like back then. No one ran screaming back. All they did was encourage everybody that they'd had the right gut reactions and went with it. So is this permanent? And what I mean by that is, I mentioned this. Yes, 4.5 Vulcans. It'll be out here in less than 48 hours. It is another wacky one with a heart. I will say that. I think it emerges from the characters. We were agreeing pretty much on that my first thing. And I will give you a non-spoiler spoiler. The plot goes way beyond that initial chunk of the 4 crew being Pike, La'an, Chapel, and Uhura being made into Vulcans, and to Spock's horror, being full-blood Vulcans, not a half a Vulcan, where he's suddenly now the less than. He's suddenly feeling gatekept a little bit here. And it's a funny bit, but I just want to tell you that that plot instantly splits off. It's not what you think it is. Some of the timings and the way they use their screen time are amazing to me on Strange. And I've talked about this on Second Opinion. The big moments you think should be a big set piece of adventure or a skip, they just skip right over that. It's very Greek. It's all off screen, and the chorus comes in and tells you, because then they get back and they want to focus on something else. And that's fine. We didn't see the 2,000 colonists rescued in Hegemony Part 2. That's the first one I remember going, oh, Captain's log. Well, we rescued those 2,000 people. It's like, okay, it's much cheaper that way. I don't mean hiring the extras. I mean the visual effects even. And you get to tell more story in a different way. So that's kind of where this goes to kick off. And then it goes in directions. The entire cast gets used, I will say. I'm doing a little sneaker peeker here on 4.5 Vulcans, because I know some folks have been a little worried that it was just going to be too slapstick. Screwball, that's the word I wanted. Screwball comedy. And Strange New has done that. They've made a habit of being so proud of all the formats. And again, that's what has upset some people. Again, I think through the frame of, you've only got 10. But yeah, we're not really used to this on Strange New, even after 10 episode seasons and 2 of them. 2 seemed like it was stretching, and now people are saying, well, 3/4 of the episodes seem to be that way. Is when we have a rewatch of this season, are we going to feel the same way? Once the final die is cast and that 4th season and then that 6-episode 5th season is done and dusted and on the shelf of your Paramount Plus queue line or wherever else it gets licensed to in the future, are we going to feel the same way? I don't know. That'd be a good topic. I don't know how you would do this, because in the old days, you only had mainstream reviews to go to unless you had access to really good, really numerous fan club newsletters, much less the social media era when things were online. Hey, what are they posting on our club Facebook page? It would be interesting to see, or just go back and find people who remember watching the first night. It's a classic. It's classic when we find letters in the Trek files. Had one woman who wrote the night she first saw This Side of Paradise, Spock and the Spores and Layla Kalami. She wrote that night full of her fresh amazement. First season Star Trek, it's the reason we're talking about this 60 years later. But when you can recapture someone's words the night they first saw a show and then committed it, archived it, in this case as a letter to the offices, it's great to get that. Do we ever go back and look at remember our first reactions, positive or negative, and then think about it? Yeah, general impressions, yes. That happens. And then we have the pendulum swing with the original series and now with Next Generation. And then just the first pendulum swing back, binging saved DS9 from being the show that didn't go anywhere. So first takes, hot takes, quick takes, as I say on Second Opinion, they're all good for X amount. Second watch, sometimes we're already backing down. We catch things we didn't catch on the first watch. What's important is the way an episode hits you at the first watch. Is that what's the most important of all? Or is it after 2 or 3? Do you let it sit and percolate? Do you marinate in it for a week before you decide? Or is it one of those things that you had your reaction, you don't think about it, which I think is what most people do. You watch it once. In the old days, we didn't have the luxury of you had to wait for the rerun. You had to go on your memory for that first watch. And then we got tape. We got VCRs and VHS tapes. But what is the reaction to an episode? What's most important? Do we live in hot take land in today's world? It's just the default. It is what it is. We're not going to get the entire world to say, please don't. Forget spoilers. Please don't have an opinion about this show until you've watched it 3 times. That's not going to happen. That's insane. And people are going to talk. They're excited. They're dumbfounded. They're depressed. They're angry. Hopefully, they're more excited than the others. They're laughing, maybe, even if that's hopefully the intention. So it's a question. Are the hot takes of this year, which seem to be getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And again, I was shocked to see that take so many people not liking the documentary, thinking it was fumbled, thinking the creature plot was wasted, being insulted by the colonizer terminology about Starfleet. Whatever their disappointment or displeasure was, I was surprised. And at the same time, many of the threads, and not like I sat and read endless streams of internet material this last 2 days, last 6 weeks, last 6 days. Not like I live with this thing, but just when you couldn't help but encounter it living in a Star Trek world with certain pages and certain accounts highlighted, when I would see that opinion expressed, I didn't see it shouted down. I just saw other people earnestly push back. One place, someone I think on my YouTube for Second Opinion, somebody had that opinion that they weren't happy with the documentary. Somebody else pushed back and said, my wife and daughter were in tears after watching it. And not in pain, in empathy, in appreciative empathy. So I feel like every time I've seen someone say that in a civil way, I've seen plenty of pushback to that. So again, I don't think they're being abusive. They're not toxic tubers, but the first take, the loud take, maybe gets out there, and then the silent majority, or at least the silent 50% or 40%, silently pushes back and says, really, wow, I really like that. And this episode and all others, it's a mixed bag. Very rarely do we have, because eventually the creme de la creme does percolate to the top. That was a horrible mixed metaphor. I never want to hot drink my meringue pies, but we do say eventually, okay, seat on the edge of forever. Okay, amok time. Okay, and the children shall lead. Okay, alternative factor has sunk to the bottom. But we've had 60 years to talk about those. And occasionally the pendulum swings on how we appreciate individual episodes or not. I think Code of Honor's pretty much going to be at the bottom forever, though. So here we go. How many times, here's my question, how many times do you try to watch a Star Trek show the week it's released? If it comes out at midnight Thursday, give or take time zones, how many times do you try to watch it when it's released and then form your opinion consciously? Or is it more like, oh, I love that. Oh, I hated that. Wait, what? Is it more out of like, I missed something and I have to go back and watch it? I'm just curious. So yeah, leave it here in the chat. Leave it at the comments below. And here's one last question. I used to talk about the learning curve that Discovery went through from season 1 to season 5. And not just about the format change, thank God. Although we'll always have those first 2 seasons, which I know some people love. I know some people love the first 2 seasons. They even lump the first 2 seasons together, which it feels like Picard to me. They're 2 different things almost, but they love the first 2 seasons more than post-jump. I'm not the same way. I think the show should always have been set where if you're not going to, you don't want to deal with canon, and you especially don't want to pioneer your first episode, your first series of small screen adventures after 12 years. You don't want to be so controversial out of the gate. And that's your shock. That's the sticker shock here visually for fans after 12 years. You're going to go there. I wish they'd jump to the future, but that's all the history. That's how it unrolled. That's how Brian pitched, and they mistook his pitch and changed it around. My point, though, is not so much the setting and all of that, but just scaling the stories for a serialized era. No one had ever seen what serialized Trek post-Lost, post-Walking Dead would look like. We'd all seen those shows, but what did it look like for Trek? I will say that was a learning curve. I thought Disco got much better at it. I thought everybody else learned those mistakes. And even though we might have problems with, it was still a learning curve. They still had problems. We talk about the first 2 seasons of Picard. The middle episodes seem weak. And then the endings seem, the first maybe start off grandly. And then it's just a timing, pacing problem. And then, yeah, I know, throw in COVID on all those folks. It was insane. It was crazy time. But it was a learning curve that was learned. How to write Star Trek serialized. I wonder if we're having the same kind of learning curve about how to just write a 10-episode season and make choices. They seem to be broader brush strokes than getting into minutia of making sure the beats and the pacing and the major planning, once you pick a story, work out for that season, the whole serialized season-long arc business. Feel like maybe we've come up here to wonder, and now the clock is out. 4th season's done. It was done months ago, committed to paper, and then filmed, wrapped recently. It was out. That ship sailed long ago. We just haven't seen the ship come into port yet. But season 5 is out there. They've been working on it and writing on it. And I wonder how much that will affect those last 6 episodes. This whole feeling. I mean, it has to be bearing down that whatever we want to get done with this season, the series, these characters, there's no guarantee. With this one, there's some of that talk about, a year 1 show, and you bring over whoever's going to cross over. Who would cross over? What does happen to Una, to number 1? What does happen to La'an? The non-legacy characters, what does happen to them? And Pelia. Well, we'll see eventually. I just wonder if there's a learning curve. If I'm wondering right now what this feedback, again, not toxic tubers, but earnest, for the most part, I think, earnest and sincere fan passion agony. I wonder how that's landing on the writer's room. And if we'll see maybe not as many. Okay, guys, you proved it. You have an amazing bunch. You have writers, you have crew, and you have actors. You can handle so much. But just because you can, does it really mean you have to? What is left to conquer? I think you proved your point. Is that really in the cards? Again, for those last 6 episodes, who knows what they're going to bring us for season 4? I've seen a couple of the actors. Just saw another one last night, an interview from, I think, Chrissy Chong at this interview at Orlando, a local station did. Obviously a fan who was also a reporter. She said, of course she would say this, Chrissy says, oh, my season 4 was my favorite so far. She's coming at it from all the cool things she's got to do. Can't blame her for that. Is that what a fan share's reaction would be? We'll see. But I think one thing is for sure. The learning curve that we were on, those early years of Discovery and early Picard, and we thought, yay, we've conquered this. We've conquered this social issue. We've conquered this disease. We've conquered this pop culture reaction to Star Trek. We've conquered that. Apparently we haven't. And the more civilly things are put forward, the more you have to pay attention to it, because they do make sense. And you do get where people are coming from. And once again, it's coming from a place of love. If people didn't care, they wouldn't care. Thank you, Yogi Berra. Did he say that? He should have. If people didn't care so much about Star Trek and count down the weeks, they know about as much as Pike knows how much time he's got left. Vaguely, we know exactly how much time we've got left with Strange New Worlds, Fresh Adventures. And my old moniker about let Pike's crew be Pike's crew is just one layer of this. Let Star Trek be Star Trek. We'll see. We'll see. But is the extreme tone of the reaction from those who have been civilly and yet intensely offering their opinions at the same time, will that soften on viewing 2 and viewing 3 and viewing 5, viewing 20? What will the years do? I said back the day, what will the years of perspective do for that hot take reaction to early Discovery? Will it stand the test of time? I think DS9 surprised everybody for standing the test of time as it did, as it is still. What will people think about Discovery in 5 years? And well, we're already been 7 years, 8 years. I got to do a rewatch. When this is over, when we have another lag time, we have some more fallow weeks and months before Academy finally premieres. And I say that knowing that the Con podcast miniseries is out for what? 9 episodes? 7? Coming on Star Trek Day to start. That will be something. Won't be a live action episode, but it'll still be some fresh Trek to react to. We'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, in the big picture of things, who knows when Academy will be with us? Who knows where the thought about Strange New goes? And who knows if the continued rewatches of the Kurtzman era, especially Discovery, what that will bring us. It's just all part of this wacky franchise. Taking 1 week's reaction here. Oh, really? And again, pulling back to a big picture. What did you guys think? I'm looking forward to seeing where the chat goes. We did mention that Khan will be back in a couple of weeks with Star Trek Day. Yeah, and I want to say this up front. Well, I should thank the folks I need to thank, right? Who's been playing with my cards here? Because I want to thank our Patreon folks. I'll be with you in just a second. We will jump back in the chat, gang, if you're new. But I got to thank my Patreoners here. So thanks much, guys. You can see it's a simple Patreon I have, $5 and $10 a month. And every week, I always like to shout out and thank, Chuck A., James Kerwin, Diana Hopkins, Halberd Gunn-Janssen, Lawrence Todd, Chris Jiggins, Justin Weir, Andrew Jasinski, Josh Patton, Pranakasha Productions, Keith Rombach, and Comedy Forecast. And our live wires, Jesse at Crusher Convo, Gary Williams, Robert McLean, Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Brandon Coles, Dan Leckie, Dave Gregory, Chris Garris, and Casey Shafsky. It was cool to see a bunch of these folks at Vegas this week. If you're saying, Larry, you have a Patreon? Yeah, I don't make much out of it, but that's because I don't make much out of it. But I do appreciate everybody jumping in. I do keep it simple and low-key and cheap for everybody. Maybe I should add another tier. I don't know. $5, $10, patreon.com/Trekland Live for the shout out. And yes, I know. The sharing of early day Portal 47 backstage creative interviews from over the last few years that we've done. What I wanted to say about what else is happening is, as Foreman Scotty used to say, the good Lord willing and the creek don't rise too high. The Trek Files season 14 is, as of now, slated to be back with you next week on Tuesday, early morning Tuesday, midnight on most of the platforms, and Tuesday morning wee hours at our new home at thetrekfiles.com on Memory Alpha. The best place where you've got the document of the week, the only podcast with homework, and the audio player right there, and then all the hot links back into Memory Alpha, because boy, we generate a lot of hot links, more so than, I don't know, Schwab's meatpacking plant in Oklahoma City. That's sad. No, gang, seriously, you can find the Trek Files on every podcasting platform that's of note. But you want to get all the gear, you got podcast.roddenberry.com or thetrekfiles.com. I really appreciate that. Look, we're going to go here at our later segment. If you're live with me, you want to hang on. We'll be back in just a microsecond. But if you are leaving me right now, I just want to remind everybody that, yes, it is Trekland Trek's time. Love for you to get in touch with me about setting up your custom away mission when you're here in SoCal. We have over 50 places to choose from, but I will help you figure out what works for your day. Is it a weekday? Is it a weekend? To start with, what time of day? Well, we always go between 9, 10-ish when I pick you up and concierge and chauffeur and prop wrangle and whatever else you need, cosplay, wrangling, whatever else it is you need help with to make it a really, truly memorable day. Otherwise, gang, just remember that I'm on at Larry Nemechek, yes, on Twitter X and Blue Sky, smiling at me. Larry Nemechek's Trekland. It's on the Instagram, it's on the gram, it's on the book, and it's here on YouTube. Please like and subscribe, ring the bell, share, do all the things. If you want to give more from my Patreon, just jump over and do portal47.net every month. It's $33 a month. It's a package of several live events, pieces from my archives. It's me. We get together. We have a guest you've likely never heard from who's going to tell you, well, as we say, all the bits about Star Trek that you had no idea about. Guarantee it will enrich your watching of all the different eras of your favorite shows. Coming up this week, Portal 47ers. Wednesday night, our August guest is Gary Teschel, who now is a director of photography, but back in the late Voyager and all of Enterprise was the camera operator for the great Marvin Rush for those years. So knows the process, can explain his niche of the industry, which is illuminating always, and then is going to regale you with stories and his own personal pictures from those days with the crew, the backstage, the cast, what it was like to film the end of Voyager and all of Enterprise. We have people from, the board back there. We've got folks from from executive producers and writers on down. Some of them who have a little bit of a platform you may have heard from, but most you have not. And that is what Portal's all about. That's what I'm all about, is making sure you know how the cake was baked that holds up the pretty icing of the actors that we love. I'm really leaning into that metaphor lately because I think it does the job. Anyway, and that's it for now. If you're leaving us because you're watching on YouTube, please remember to leave a comment below, and maybe you can join us live on a Tuesday, right? And until then, please, there was a virus going around in our house this week, and I'm staying away from it. So please stay healthy, do all the things. Please stay awoke, check the sources now more than ever. And trek well, everybody. Back scroll needle. Let's say. So, Christoph, we got you in mid-travel. Okie dokie. Well, hello, Lee. Are you new with us? Your name rings new. Welcome, welcome. If you've been lurking before, that's cool too. Lee Moncure Smith Rodriguez. Glad to have you here. 2 forms of footage: security camera footage and drone footage. Yes. Yeah, I saw the initial interview. A lot of cuts, also a lot of improv going on, and some of it made it into the final. Hey, Gerhardt. Speaking of my Portales, to you. Oh, this is the other thing. A lot of people said, "What is Starfleet?" It didn't get there. The story did not earn it. Just Starfleet's great conclusion. They lucked into a solution with the Jukari, but all the other issues were unresolved. I.e., Mbenga is still a murderer. Is he a murderer or freedom fighter? You're right back there with the Kira dilemma, right? Hey, Derek. 100+ amazing artists and tech folks were let go with 2 days' notice, but that's varying from Trek. I will say it was an amazing group, strange new worlds of our own. I feel like I got into this conversation midstream, Derek. You want to fill us in? You're talking about artists and tech folks. Are we talking about vendors? Or are we talking about because there's a lot made about the bloodbath that's going to come. They're going to cut $2 billion in costs across the whole corporation. I got to check in with some folks and see, but Mona, I think somehow this episode leaned heavily into Beto's opinion point of view. If I'd watched this as a real documentary, I think Beto skewed it all like a politician. Well, a lot of documentarians go in with a point to prove, and sometimes they're honest about it. Sometimes they say, this is going to do this. We talk about ethics and morals of different, journalism itself and documentarianism. There's very few times when you have a pure document. We laugh about, MacArthur getting off the landing craft. I shall return. And they reshot it 2 or 3 times to be more dramatic. It wasn't actually the footage of him getting off. It was reshot to make it that way. And that was a simple 40s look at this kind of thing. I think they reshot the raising the flag on Iwo Jima for the newsreels, and there's 2 different versions of the film out there. So a lot of, even a simple, innocent documentary filmmaker is filming someone coming up to a door and knocking, and they're going to surprise the person inside. Well, if you really want it covered for film's sake and you want to tell a visual story, don't you need a camera person on the inside too? So you can have cutaways, especially depending on how the doorway is built. Are you in a hall? Are you in a tight corner? Is it at night? What's happening? And then if the minute you put a camera person inside, well, it's not the real true reaction. You're staging it, even though you're trying to be as innocuously innocent as possible. But you're trying not to have it be a gray blobby film in a visual media. So it starts at square one with this whole documentarian not being a neutral, pure observer. It's almost like the anthropologist watching, the primitive cultures thing, and not just behind a force field. So, yeah. Beto is pushing everybody, pushing buttons, pushing the envelope to get people to answer questions. And that part didn't seem to be out of whack. I feel like the out of whack, he went into it with a narrative that he wanted to prove. I don't know that I wasn't aware of one until it sprung out of his mouth talking to her live, which we had a security camera capturing. So it's part of the documentary. And then the fact that he had to have changed his mindset and been blown away because the episode was his documentary. So he included footage of himself being exposed and turned and told off. So he included that in his own documentary, if you want to, totally in universe there. And then we have this opinion comedy. You wanted the grittier, you wanted the DS9 version of Strange New. And I mean that in all the grays. You wanted it warts and all, as they say in art. Yeah, Enterprise is getting a reappraisal now. I still think the second season got thin very fast. But I think that a lot of that was fatigue of the producers. They should have been allowed to take a year off. Rick wanted to take a year off. Network didn't let them. Network was little tin pot crackpots with delusions of godhood. So there you go. You sound confident here, Lee. Time will change the reviews. There you go. Bringing up baby. Yeah, Hepburn and Grant. Screwball comedy. That was the term I was trying to find. Skydance produces Foundation. Not Imaging, the series. Yeah. I can't give you anything but love, baby. Yep. Hey guys, there you go. It was a great conversation. There we go. Drops Thursday. Subscribe to get the notification. We had a blast. So did I. We put that one through the ringer like I haven't put an episode through in ages. I miss my podcast days with Chris Jones over on Trek FM in the real original Ready Room. Had the name for years before, not Will, but before the studio came and took it. So yeah, thank you for that. But it made me think another layer before I recorded Second Opinion, which I have to do now. Thank you, Mona. We are at our knee jerkiest, like when folks were criticizing. Yeah. That's just passage of time. Oh, it needed to bring something new, but it was the same ending as Squire Gothas, except that we met Corby. Really? Oh, you're talking about. I'm a little schizo here, folks, and I don't mean to disparage the term. Use it loosely. My head is now all into 4.5 Vulcans, and we're talking about what is Starfleet. So interesting. The beginning of the DS9 and Voyager pilots. Okay. Battlestar Galactica reboot vibes. Yeah. We're still on Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. Yep. 3 times to get to the first space episodes of BSG 2 documentary. The musical was pitch corrected. I couldn't watch it. I have music ears. Wow. Okay. You might explain to everybody what pitch corrected means. Um, Hi, Willie. Hi, May. Um, Wacky ones with heart. Was that my term? Or always. Is Strange New trying to be the live version of Lower Decks? Well, speaking of Trek exploration, Albie had a point that I'm clinging to now, which was how much has Lower Decks infected the rest of the franchise? And I say that because the only thing we have a clue about now is Strange New. It's the only thing that's still standing that we're able to watch and measure. But even though it was animated versus live, it was a little contamination with the crossover last year. Be careful what you invite in your front door. You may get it. And we'll see what happens with Academy when it finally comes out next year. But did the humor, the modern sensibility of humor and comedy from Lower Decks, the quips, the meme worthiness, did it infect Lower Deck, Strange New a little bit? And, open up the comedy, open up the audience expectation and allowance and what we think is normal and allowable and doable, even though it originated with the animation, and that's the inherent nature of it. And they call it out as a meta point on the crossover show, These Old Scientists. Have you noticed how much those new kids talk so fast? Have you noticed how slow these guys talk? Which actually is a cultural look. 100 years ago, and people talked in complete sentences, of which I speak. That was normal. That wasn't Shakespeare. That was normal talk. We've just dumbed down our language so much. Oh, this is 3 syllables, not 2 syllables. I mean, guilty as charged. Okay. Well, this is a good point, Sherry. Ma, you need wacky in these crazy days. Live action Lower Decks is absolutely the feel of the next episode, Wrongly Having. Wrongly Having? Did we split things? Oh. 2 extra words. Yeah, huh? Okay. Bringing Up Baby, His Girl Friday, Bedtime for Bonzo, even the high point of Ronald Reagan's career, as Carson used to always love to point out. I think so. Have I ever seen Charade? Charade? We'll see. Just don't box the IP. Myth. I'm sorry to break it to you. Yeah, it was in all the papers. Yes, it's a half season. And I read between the lines 2 months ago or whenever, and now people are kind of openly talking about it. I think that was kind of an ultimatum of, hey, Alex, don't bet the house on your contract being renewed. So finish up series before you're gone if you want to be fully in control of them. There's nothing, the shows are separate from his personal contract. They can keep having a Kurtzman, a series for one of the producers is Secret Hideout, can continue to be on the network, on the platform. It's just that he won't be the Uber showrunner. So if there's a head-to-head decision to be made, he's not the ultimate maker if they decide to pay for one more season of Academy to have it come over. Meanwhile, 5 was going to be 5. They didn't know they could finish. Maybe it was a budget cut. Maybe it was a time thing. But a lot of people are speculating that the 6 episode cutoff was to be done within the end of the year, if not for October. So, yeah. Sorry to be the one to tell you, Myth, unless that's fine. Very nice, Captain. Hey, cool. I like the song. Yeah. Yeah, we actually had Betamax before we had VHS. Yes, absolutely. Hi, Brandon. Yes, Coles. I did. How did I say your name wrong? That's ridiculously. 33 watching, but show some love and like. Thank you, Rose. Always nice to have you here. What are you saying, Mona? You don't remember your first reaction to Star Trek, but your husband and I used to watch TOS reruns and see who could remember the episode first. A time honored, one of the earliest, simplest fan games, right? There you go. Usually give an episode 3 times before you give thoughts on it. There are some you love the first time. That's always fun. The question is there any that you just hate the first time? And even giving it a second watch, it's like fingernails on chalkboard. We'll see. Captain Calvin, your first classic, your first DOS was Shore Leave, and I'm like, what am I watching? Your first TNG was Best of Both Worlds. I was like, okay, it's Picard staying Borg now. And then you stayed on and watched. Well, I guess they did their job. They got you to watch more. That's the most important thing, right? Oh, Derek. Okay. Well, now you got me intrigued. I missed the early part of your entry there. I hope you come back, circle back around, and let us know, or I'll check the news. Maybe that's what I need to do. You're among those who feel like the weapon was totally wasted in this. Yep, yep, yep. Hi, Donnie. Good to know. Good to see you too. Thanks for joining us. Mm. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Melanie, for being our historian in the moment there. Uh, oh my gosh, you're being very forgiving there, Captain Calvin. It was the first one you had on, like you taped it off TV. Yeah, because you didn't have a VCR. That was very TOS era. By TNG, I had gone out and bought a VCR after I researched what was the best one for pausing without static. Yes, sir. 6 head on fast play, and you got no static, and you could your pause, rewind, pause forward, pause back. Worked to perfection. For 18 years, I taped that way, even though the last 3 or 4 were getting ridiculous. What now? You were fine with Picard produced in SoCal instead of Toronto. A portion of season 1 finale was produced in Toronto. I'm sorry. No, you should be fine. You should be apologizing for all of the Trek that wasn't filmed in that they exported to Toronto. Those Canadians. God meant for Star Trek to be filmed in SoCal. Well, tell me something I don't know, Carl. Although you have to, it's like the train wreck effect. You have to watch it just to remind yourself that it really happened, right? We need the Dachau concentration camp documentaries, and we need these are the voyages. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not mean to equate the Holocaust with a TV episode. I'm sorry. Don't, please. That was probably an inappropriate reach. You are confident that season 3 is just not as good as 1 and 2. Wouldn't be the first time a show even got to its sequel season before it had a stumble. I'm looking at you, Man from Uncle. Yes, we're gonna get Long Road all worked out here. What's it? Faith of the Heart. Come on, Larry. I could see my team was a lichen back. I never knew those words. I hear them and I still don't understand what they are. Okay, Rose. Thank you for bringing the Power Ranger there. I guess, and I guess that Ranger Donnie's going to jump in here in a minute, probably. That's very kind of you to call it a thing. That's true. That's true. One of the book writers got to fix it. Oh, okay. Brandon, and you take your vitriol out on the IMDb rating scale. Okay, yay. This is kind of a common thing. You read what other people say and you went, oh, really? I didn't get that at all. And you go back to what? I missed that. Hey, Dave, glad you could make it and join us. You have the whole Thursday routine down, Carl. You and probably millions of others. I hope. I hope. Namaste and prosper to you, Timothy. That's such a. I know you guys. This is just the first chapter of the Tuesday long migration across all the podcast chats, which is not what it was in the beginning. We were just sticking out here all by our lonesome. There you go. I didn't make this connection. Comedy. You're on the topic is Trek. No less than 3 times a day it comes out. See, I do too, because that's all I can squeeze in. It feels like. Got to at least that spam wasn't porn. I'm getting boring in my old age. Strange New had it nailed from the start and started to flounder after feeling like they had to play with it. Yeah, don't pick it. Oh no, Rose. Well, we wish you well. Stay safe. Do what you have to do. My goodness, it's after dark, right? This is the thing that no one talks about, Captain. What does? I mean, we know Corby, but what does happen to Una? That's one of the big mysteries of all Star Trek. That this, what does happen to La'an? Una was a character we knew but had no legacy. Was a legacy with no history. La'an was a totally new creation. I want to know what happens to Mitchell. Well, there you go, Mona. They didn't know they were gone. The last season they filmed it. Everybody went home from filming thinking they were coming back for season 6. That's why the coda was, they gave them 2 weeks to film that, to write it and film it and post it, and then add it to the end. Looking back 3000. Hi, are you new to us on Tuesdays? If you are, welcome, welcome. And you know what? Even if you're not new, welcome, welcome. The most, again, people talk about, this dawned on me during those early Discovery years, because I saw people at Vegas. I saw this one guy, kind of not the tallest person in the world, but didn't lack for circumference. Let's say that. Totally in his Klingon. And there was a panel with Mary Chifo and the late great Ken Mitchell and maybe one other Klingon, but they were all Discovery Klingons before the show aired, and they'd only seen, the blow up. The guy leaked the pictures early, the Polaroid of the extras, and so the Klingon thing blew up early premiere. And this young fan, I say young fan, this fan, totally in his Klingon best, was at the mic in the Q&A line, pleading with them sincerely, from not screaming, not yelling, not angry, but almost tearfully pleading how much Klingons had meant to him his whole life. And he said, basically, please don't change the thing I've loved my whole life. And it really got to Mary, I know, and Ken, but I could sit and she was like, I promise you we're going to do our best to, she didn't have the power to promise anything, but she was trying to console that one fan in that one moment who was not a toxic tuber. I will never forget that moment. It really shone a light on when people are that upset from their passion. Upset can mean sorrow and tears and anxiety, but upset can go on the spectrum over to anger. And people, when you see nasty people online, they're probably never that nasty in real life. If you're ever a fan meetup with them, they're probably never there. But it's just easy to get lost in the anonymity of the web, and we get that. And we've made a mistake equating the web, online interaction with live action, and it's not the same. Our humanity kicks in when we're in close proximity. So the same people, the vendors and dealers who will say, I see all the franchise fans and the Star Trek fans are the nicest. To your comment here, it's all makes sense. It's all part of the continuum in the situation. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And they say Star Wars fans are the most vicious reviewers. I'm a third party there, so I feel that way because it's the other biggest one. And, Harry Potter is the fandom that turned on its creator. So, with pretty much good reason, I understand why she doubles down. How smart is, even if that's not what you feel, I don't know. I don't understand that. Hey, Steven, Text Trekkie, for those of you watch every episode 3 or 4 times each week. Right, but if you weren't making content, you would at least watch it twice for your own notes. Your sanity as a fan. Yes, thank you. That's what I used to do that. Hey, Wanda, you really have had to go back and watch these last few Strange News after hearing different perspectives from podcasts I value and other Trekkies. Well, I'm sure Paramount Plus loves you. among other reactions. You want to like what is Starfleet more in time. What is Starfleet was like, okay, again, I thought my whole thing was I thought they rushed the ending. I was like, wait, what? Did he just say colonizer? Is he using historical narrative social justice terminology from the 90s and the aughts in this documentary 200 years later? 200? Okay. And then it was like, oh, well, if we're still all that implies, then let's stop and think about that. Oh, well, it can't. It's already gone. It's done. It was used as a personal interactive prick, not as a big social commentary. Ma, sometime in 2026, maybe spring. Is spring March? Is spring May? Don't know, but that's what we know. Yeah. Oh, hey, Spike. Spike, are you a new Tuesday TTLer? Either way, that's fine. Yay. You can relate to the rewatch. Voyager was airing. You would rewatch 3 or 4 times throughout the week as well. Well, that was just fan gooberness. There you were. Exactly. Early 2026 is all we know. You're not the only one. Yes, absolutely. What difference does it make? Like, say the date, unless they really haven't honed in on it yet. But say the date. Thank you, Christoph, saving the Patreons new. Hold on, Mona. No, I'm just saying that they've gotten better at writing serial. Could they be better? I'm sure. I'm just saying that I thought that the writing, the serialization touch, command of the function got better as we went along. Now instead of just being like this knee-jerk whiplash, what's happened in each episode to get the plot going, now I think the conversation turns to what are your tent poles for the season. And here's where we argue that the alien kid screaming in the wrong place at the wrong time and totally disrupting galactic history maybe should not have been a reveal that you hung the whole season on. I think scale that down, and that wacky kind of concept could have been a great 1 or 2 parter. Yeah. But there's always something to learn. Nothing's ever perfected, right? How do you discern a ship of exploration from a ship of war? Historically, didn't all ships of exploration have the ability to defend themselves if necessary? Well, pretty much, Rob. But I mean, like our Apollos and shuttles didn't have some kind of even rudimentary. I mean, nobody thought there'd be anything in there. They weren't we weren't anticipating Spectre kidnapping our Gemini capsules in orbit. There's a deep cut for you, kids. Dun, dun, wah, wah, wah. Yeah, a contingent. If you were going to be exploring in, places that you would later come back and colonize with the natives. There we go. Spike, I hope I just add a little bit to your favorite co-days on the Tuesday side. Yeah, season 14. A season is 24 episodes, so half a year. Yes, the Trek Files is 1 year younger than Tuesdays Live. 2018. Oh, Mona's doing a re-listen of the Trek Files backwards, a season at a time. Great, Myth. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We need to have much bigger numbers. The Trek Files should have much bigger numbers. Everything I do should have much bigger numbers. I'm tired of playing the old, go promote yourself crap. I just think people should figure it. I don't understand how people have 1 million followers and some of these. I won't say they're crappy. I just what do they really have to say? What is their insight based on? Are they insiders? Do they have firsthand experience? Or they just they have a total right to say what they want to say. I just don't understand what the cred is that attracts that many. Okay, we're all chiming in here for Alien Earth. Okay, or Memory Alpha, I guess. Good night, Rose. Thank you for joining us. There you go. Wait, what? Oh, I said it was a meat pun. It was a completely innocent meat pun. Could Plushy Leonard go on the tour? I guess he could. Now, is he going to be doing video every day? That you have to ask him if that's what you mean. Is he going to social mediaize the whole thing? There you go. Maybe we'll see. I know we'll do some streams and lives. Well, Christian, okay, that way I guess I don't have to drum you out of the service. Do all the thing. Check the sauces. Yeah. Oh, you guys are crazy. Yes. It was just one. Went to a meetup on Saturday and came home hearing the next morning from someone who was sick. And anyway, we've been isolating. We're all used to that now after 2020. It wasn't as bad as I thought, but I just don't want to be dragged down by even a minor thing. Hello, Cassandra. Welcome. There you go. Lurking since this weekend. What happened this weekend? Okay, there you go. The guys at Open Pike Night are great, are pretty cool, and they have a good line into the writer's room. So they're kind of like the hot pod. If that's what you enjoy doing and hearing from, that's yeah. I couldn't get all the way. This is 1445. Uh, yeah, which that used to happen. I couldn't get all the way back to the beginning when I got to this point in the show. If I went to a certain point, 1445. Wow. You hated the impression Beto gave us of Mbenga. Yeah, it's how that works. There you go. Thank you, Spike, freedom fighter. Oh, thank you, Captain Calvin. Derek worked for Lucas and was let go. Oh, really? Ish. I'm sorry, gang. Oh, okay, Carl. You watched some of the review videos, so I didn't have to. And you had to wonder if we were watching the same episode. I love the quotes and I got the message. Yeah. Now go back and watch those videos, check their YouTube pages and see what the comments were. Were they all right in line with the YouTubers or were they pushing back at places? Or, like half and half. People having a mixed reaction. We need a Ken Burns Strange New World documentary and pan over the still images. I'll write to you today, sir, with my entreatment to please employ me as a writer for your throwback show. Yeah, Calvin, I went back as far as my scroll would let me, which was a thing early on in Restream. And I don't know if I went longer on the topic. We went an hour with Stephanie last week, or 45 minutes. No, it wasn't like an hour. Actually, hour of showtime, 45 minutes with her, or 50 minutes with her. I had to let her go at the top of the hour. Everything is pro wrestling, including documentaries. Anything filmed has some degree. Yes, it can't not be. We're humans operating a camera. Unless you walk up, take raw footage of something, and then put that out. And even then, where you started and stopped, even if it was accidental and unintentional, and you didn't pick it, that's still going to be a subjective. Yeah, we can never a subjective decision that affects all the views after that. Oh, wow, you're here? Yes. It's the same thing with the home restoration shows when they try to do the reveals. Now, on those, everybody knows they're at a house. It's been remodeled. They're going to see it for the first time. The crew can put a cameraman on the inside to get their reaction coming in the door. It's not like somebody had to tip it off. So there is that. Now, especially those British shows where they would redo people's gardens or they would redo a room in their house without their knowledge because they did it all in a day, and they come home and they've kept the surprise and they want to get the aha reaction. They open, they're like, oh wow, I'm surprised. Mm-hmm. We're still on this. I think it's EA, and then I think the character in the Big Goodbye was named Felix Leach with 2 E's. Don't ask me. That's just a weird thing stuck in my brain. Okay. Well, that makes two of us. Waiting for Academy, finally. This is basically what I thought, Timothy. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't something more to it. It's auto-tune. It's like what they do with singers, even in a recording studio. They try to perfectize their pitch. Mm-hmm. There you go. Thank you, Christoph. No one's pitch is 100% perfectly. Oh, it's a warm day, gang. Okay, there's a vote for wacky lower decks influencing other Trek, even the live actions. There you go. I will say the same thing. All the Brits, everybody in Europe who are going to Trek Blackpool, have a great time. I can't wait to hear about it from our European Portales and everybody else. This is my point looking back. It's the squeeze. It's the feeling you're feeling very mortal with your TV watching ability of Trek. Okay, Christoph. I never thought of you as a leech, Christoph, if that means anything. Never got that convinced. Never got that. Apparently not. Apparently they are normal length. I think. I don't know if we've heard this yet. We'll see. Maybe the last one gets stretched a little bit since it's the finale, and they want to cram. Well, Lower Decks live action could be Tawny preparing everyone for the Academy. This show could also be like a Lower Decks spinoff, disco spinoff. There you go. Steve Areno, in the way Pike being portrayed a little more humorous than the way other captains have been portrayed. You mean besides like Captain Freeman? Mount seems to have a more lighthearted attitude. Well, yeah. Again, we always used to talk about how DS9 was a pendulum swing reaction to TNG, and Voyager was a reaction to the first two. They're all reactions because they're all after another flavor, another slice of the pie, another flavor on the Star Trek buffet, even in those days. And Discovery was so dark and moody and emo. And then Picard was kind of the same way. It's just emo with someone you knew already. And that was part, aside from the whole let's do standalone shows with some character runners, not season-long story runners. Aside from that, it does feel like the baked into the cake of, although that's not the way well, you say that the pilot, you get into this heavy talk about the second war, a civil war in America and Earth and all of that. But at the same time, you have the wacky, in disguise with the alien planet bit. So it's been trying to do all that too. Okay. I thought you were going to say something about the fish dance from Python. But it's all good. It's all good. But good to see you, Steve. Thank you, Christoph. I was thinking 6 the whole time, but half of 10 is 5. So yes, 6. 6 would be half of a 12 episode season, which has not been in the cards for years. Not that you're opposed to people hooking up in space, but it seems to me Spock is quite popular. Well, Pon farr, Dorothy Fontana would say this. It's not that Vulcans only have sex every 7 years. It's that they have to have sex at least every 7 years. They can go off and have sex on their own, but when it doesn't necessarily, their biology doesn't mess up their entire system and send them into a blood fever. It's almost like you are going to have a virulent flu every 7 years, no matter what you do. And it's interesting because he can't have Pon farr because Amok Time is the first time he has Pon farr. He says, I'd hoped I would have been spared this. So that's it. Vulcans are free to go have sex whenever they want to. It's just they have to when Pon farr comes along. When Pon farr breaks out, like a pussy eruption. Section 31 caused you to have a visceral reaction, but there you go. Hey, Cassandra, yes, here we are. It's been 8 years just waiting on you. Well, that's interesting about Larry Hagman, but Patrick that was really never. There was more question about whether Michael Piller would come back as the head writer than Patrick leaving. That wasn't a thing. I think that was just some concocted drama, like they needed some, and the way it turned out. Sure, Christoph, you can ask him if he remembers by then. To him, he got an interview from he got an interview from Jonathan. So there, but sure, if you want to go to him a little bit, that's cool too. An audio cassette. Oh my God. I don't remember this. They were selling, or was it like a fan dealer made them? Now we'd say it was Etsy. There used to be a fan bunch. Oh, it was the original Trek magazine guys. Irwin. They were in Texas. Oh my God, who are the two publishers of, not Frank Irwin, Jim Irwin? I forgot their name. Anyway, the two original publishers of Trek magazine, and then they put out the Best of Trek paperbacks. And they sold those. And I saw their ad. I was like, well, I can do that. And I just recorded my own. Yes. Hey, Chuck, I'm just glad you're here. No reprimand in the works at all. Oh, very smart, Christoph. Q meant Trek to be filmed in Europe. Yeah, right. I'm sorry, guys. Maybe if I turn my little fan on up here, does it hum? There, we'll stir the air. We need to watch Knight Rider 2000 to remember that the powers that be were so brain dead, killing off Deb and Miles. Yes, Captain Calvin, we need to remember that. Oh, a mixed bag of tricks. Okay, literally, yeah. Well, I can tell you this, Cap. Lots of people are streaming that I wonder why they are. But I would never tell any mom and pop out of the garage or the backyard or whatever in the side of the bedroom. It's like everybody's bring it on. It's fine. I don't mean bring it on as a challenge. I mean, sure, why not? Don't close that gate when first contact happens. Really? You're going to wait 30 something years? 36 years till first contact? Is that where we are? Yeah, I hope nothing bad happens to her. I just want them to use the character. Like, why did you name her Noonien Singh? If you're, which we mentioned on the Trexploration podcast. It's like I've been waiting 2.5 season years, more than that, to go, why did you name this character Noonien Singh? There's a little bit of an answer in this next one, but it's not much. Well, there you go. Michael didn't die on screen. Your voice to chat always messes up. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, Mona. Well, I think 3/4 of fandom would say you can have them. We'll just pile them up in front of your door. Just everybody, come bring all your spare Discovery early Klingons, because they started fixing it by second season. First, they fixed it by retconning and saying the species diversity and they're from other planets. And you know what? That's fine. That's fine. Gang, texture, not trivia. Texture, not trivia. The mistake is made and it makes us stronger for it. Gives us a whole new wrinkle we wouldn't have. Hey, Pedro. There you go. Okay, Calvin, you're going to other streams, but I'll allow it. Well, there you go. You've just encapsulated fandom completely on your thing. Yep. Turned into a we don't talk about universe guy. Okay. Colonizer does not fit Starfleet. Now, the private ranks, there's lots of civilian freighters. What's going on with all that? Yes. Oh, I meant to share that. I thought I did share that somewhere, somehow, some way. I think I saved that. I shared that with the next Portal 47 roundtable that come up, either the Prime US or the European Midday. But that was amazing. I had no idea. No idea. Nothing to do with the Muppets or the Puppet episode coming up, but it may have been an inspiration. Put it on the radar screen. Okay, I'm sorry, man. This is not an editorial comment on any of you. Major Grin did a video. Well, I have to look up who Major Grin is then. It's fine. If it's somebody of note, then okay. Oh, did I say fan gooberness? Did I say that? Okay, well. You liked the alien kid screaming description? The alien kid who screams at the wrong place at the wrong time? That's what it was. An alien child scream. That was a plot point. Oh, well, what can I say? Whenever I think of spacecraft being hijacked out of naivete, I just thought that was fascinating when I was a kid. The slow analog models. That was a lot of visual effects at the time. You only live twice. Oh, okay. I forget. Spectre kidnapping Gemini capsules. Also took the Voskhod or the Vostok, whatever it was at the time. Yeah, that'll be a big seller. Yes. Thank you, though. Oh, no. They got your favorite effects sequence wrong. The Enterprise flying away from the exploding Borg cube. Oh, no. Hey, Ian. Apparently you just now made it. What? Good to see you. What's the topic of discussion? What was my favorite SNW or SNL related is this? What was your favorite Strange New Worlds or Strange New World related is this? My favorite Strange New World is it? Well, considering it's an unfinished. I need a list to see. I'm trying to think of something from first season. I know the musical was amazing and proved they could do it, and I was astounded that it had a sci-fi premise to it as a hook, because I love the way that some of them were forced to sing and didn't want to, and it was hokey. But what else is hokey and not hokey in Star Trek? But channeled in a way that you could hang it on it and hey, this is what it's. Again, it's like, why is Lincoln and Surak on this planet? Oh, it was an alien. It was in your mind. It's from that same well, so it's okay. But the one I think organically might just be the crossover. Not just because they pulled it off, and it was cute to have the animation at the end and have that be the segue and bridge that. But it told us a lot about the Pike crew. The fact that we learned that Pike's crew were all Archer and XO1 and crew fanboys and fangirls, I thought was adorable. And I love the way it brought Enterprise back into the fold. There's probably a first season show I should enjoy more, or it should be off the top of my head. But that may be an obviously stupid easy one, but I'm gonna say that for now until I A, get to see all the rest of the episodes, and B, go back and look at the first season again. And people were loving it so much, nobody raised a hair of criticism. They just needed to make the show fly a little faster to match the original. Yeah. Okay, Ian, you did love What is Starfleet? Okay. Cool. Okay, there's a vote for that. See? It goes back and forth. And yeah, Mona, you wonder if you're watching the same show that some of these reviewers had. As long as it's civilly stated and you can tell it's coming out of conviction, it's not one of the clickbait channels where some poor schmuck was just told to go write a bad, a clickbaity story and they do it because they need the $1.50. I feel sorry for them. I don't hate them because I knew it's the model and the editor and they're trying to make a buck on the internet these days, which is not. I mean, the business model for everything is so in tatters right now. It's amazing. Anybody can make any money on anything. That's actually a human skill. And then we're going to have AI take that away. Okay, don't get me started. Just so I know. Okay, only just so I know. You did send the email the correct email address. It may have gone to my junk, but I did send it the correct email address. Okay. We talking about the puppets? I've lost track here. We will send it again if I'm off base here, if I miss your reply down here. Well, Robert, that's very nice of you to say. That's very kind of you. I appreciate you being here and enjoying it. Make it feel like there's a point to think. Guys, when you've got 2,500 YouTube subscribers, sometimes you just wonder what you're missing with what am I not doing? Do I not have enough bikini girls in my title cards to get people to stop and look? What am I not doing? Oh, thank you, Sherry. You too. Missed the setup for this, Captain Calvin. Yeah, changing rooms, and I forget which was. I have to stop and think. Changing Rooms was British. Trading Spaces was the American one, and that was just that. They also had the garden one. What was that with the little tornado? Alan Titmarsh. It's where I found out that a garden in Britain is just your backyard. There's no necessarily plants growing in it. And of course, to me, the garden was where you had fruits and vegetables. If it was flower garden was a non sequitur to me. If it was flowers, it was a flower bed. Garden meant you had edible food in it. So there we go. Joel. Well, we stayed up late for you, Joel. We kept the light on. John X. Damn it! I meant to say this, and maybe I'll even have Scott and Kyle insert this. And one more thing, everybody. Bottom line, Nielsen's are still trying to perfect their streaming numbers, and I know there's flaws in the algorithm, and it's about longevity sometime before you get on the radar. But other places, Paramount Plus's own numbers, but Associated Press, but Nielsen ratings themselves trying to do digital. A lot of sources are putting Strange New Worlds in the top 10 of streaming series, no matter what metric they use. So maybe all this attention is just a factor, even among fans, but non-fans also apparently are making Strange New Worlds a top 10 series. Okay. What was the timestamp on that? 150, 140, 150. Okay, I'll remember that. Shaving a haircut, bits and a half, 8 and a hits. But thank you, John. Yeah, and thank you for sending me stuff, John X. If you go by the numbers, by whatever metrics, S&W is a bigger hit than ever. Hi, Dan. I hope you're well too. It's been a while. Hey, Ian. I always appreciate hearing back. I know when we have the Portal 47 European Midday Roundtable for the Portales, they keep us updated and honest on what's going with the European conventions. Okay, Dan. There's a vote for the whole season. There we go. Well, good point, Captain Calvin. Kirk is also pretty lighthearted at the drop of a communicator. Cisco also has his lighthearted moments. Wow, Cisco is not the one I think about being lighthearted, but then when he's around Jake and he's not in apparent damage control mode, he's pretty lighthearted. Mm-hmm. Saru and Mike. Oh, you knew her well enough to call her Mike? Talking about Burnham. We're very lighthearted, at least sometimes. Yeah, Picard too. But Picard was a stretch. It had to be Picard Day or something, The video from Vegas. Yeah. Picard, you think Picard was much darker than Discovery. Okay. Well, second season. Yeah. Your mom's suicide. Yeah, that would be kind of dark. Hey, Steve. Listen, man, we are going to have a real visit again in this lifetime. In fact, I think it may be sooner than later, but I've got things happening. Hopefully next year. So stay tuned. A lot to get by between now and then. Long road between here and there. There you go. Yes, Joel, you were there in person. Well, there you go. Well, Tuvok is old enough. That's only 28 years. He's over 100. There you go. Recontextualize it into an actual fever. At least it was in the original dub version of Muck Time, hence the title Space Fever. Weltraumfieber. Weltraumfieber. Pomfar was based on salmon, right? Yeah. Well, it was more about the cycle, the biological drive, more than salmon having a fever. Do salmon have a fever? They're in water. Does it cool them off? Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. Boom. There, that's what I meant to say. Yeah. Well, okay, Timothy, we'll just leave that right there. Yes, thanks, Christoph. That's all I need. Oh, well, Cassandra, how is it on YouTube? Thanks for adding to my YouTube numbers, though. Nobody cares on Facebook. Yep. It even had a narrator. Who was the narrator? Just some voice person, or was it somebody they hired with a name? Maybe it was a reading of the script in a narrative prose version, not just actors all acting it out. I have to look it up. Hopefully I can find it. And it's so early, it sounds like it was maybe a thing that started and died out. But they were scripting, they were dramatizing early scripts. Code of Honor was what, number 3 or 4? That's a very generous, not hateful reaction to it, Pedro. Thank you, Walter Irwin and GB Love. Thank you, Dan. I didn't have anything here I could grab quick enough. Walter Irwin and GB Love. Yep. Oh yeah. They considered it a kid's show, but they did show it in the evenings, right? Yeah. Well, Move Along Home had some profound things to say about gamers. There you go. Well, Joel, the contents of at least the first 3/4 of those all came from Trek Magazine, which was not a professional magazine. It had a cardstock cover, a glossy cardstock. So it was really it was a really high-end zine, but there was so much demand for Trek content back then and nobody putting it out. Starlog, years before Starlog convinced someone to loan them the money, and they were only like a one-off, and then they were 3 times a year, and then 4 times a year, and then bi-monthly. They had to walk that track because even in the late 70s and early 80s, until like the kids, they don't have any money to spend. But yeah, so in that vacuum, they were basically printing this high-end glossy zine and getting distribution deals to newsstands for it. And then when they kind of lost, when Starlog jumped in and some of the other wannabe magazines jumped in, they started reprinting the articles in the books to get more mileage out of them. Is working on the business model we had then. So all those Best of Trek books, until the very late ones where I think people wrote them just for the paperback. But earlier than that, they were all from Trek Magazine. Yeah, well, it's what I've been waiting on. The minute you saw that name, you're like, okay, this is going to be a point somewhere. It's been a tiny micro point a couple of times. Okay, looking back, I know that feeling. Thank you for joining us. Did we figure it out? Was this your first time or first time speaking out? Glad to have you with us. Oh no, my figure. You were probably forwarding the entire rest of the internet while we were going. Oh, you're welcome for the weather report. It was so loud, and the wind was, I felt like I was back home. It was like home. I mean, Okie home. Yeah. Wow, the wind howled in the afternoon. It was just strange. But the temperature dropped about 10 degrees when it was done. We got humidity. Humidity in California is another weird thing. Oh, my question is the honeymoon over? You said absolutely. Okie dokie then. It's okay, Captain Calvin. You're allowed 3 stupid questions. So you're well within your quota. But no question is stupid. Laurel talked a bit funny, and Mary Chifo doesn't. Oh, So was it because she was hurt in that episode, or had it something to do with the way her Klingon was bleeding into her English when Laurel needed to speak English? I think part of that was the teeth that she wore. I think a big part of what you're talking about, Klingon accent to English, is that what you're getting at? I think I would start number one with the teeth appliance she had to wear, because that affects the way, if you listen to Armin talk and then Quark or Max and Rom or any of the Ferengi, you know, Aaron back in the day and Nog, they all had the Ferengi teeth in, and they weren't as stumbling a block as, I'm trying to think, did Michael wear teeth for Worf? Some of the Klingons did, but I know Laurel did, because you see, and plus they went to extremes with the Discovery Klingons. But there you go. Well, whatever happens, Christoph, I hope you and Ian have your rendezvous, and you can tell us all about it later. Oh, Major Grin does videos showing discrepancies between older Star Trek and modern Star Trek. They're funny, but you may not appreciate the negativity bias towards modern Star Trek. Well, you can point them out, but then the next step, as I said on Trexplorations, next step is the ship has sailed. You got to make it work. You got to retcon it. So, or either that, or just, you know, you can do the whole thing of, I don't accept the third season of the original series. You have to, you know, you have to go into that world. So, get that man some coffee stat. Thank you, Sherry. You know, I don't drink coffee. I can't drink hot drinks. I'd have to have it be lukewarm coffee. I don't know. Did Starfleet debris ever think about doing something with me? We'll see. When Pike dropped, now the setup was fun. I don't know about the factoids, but the setup was funny. Yes. Major Grin is a spinoff from the Nitpicking Nerd. Okay. Coffee, Kafifi, yes. No business will leave New York. It's the financial center. Okay, Wanda, did I miss the setup for that? Timothy, that's a long way to go to get to the shorthand, the line at the end, which was nobody could see unless you're in the chat. Several Earth animal species who have similar mating cycles, period. Upon eruption, the Vulcans could call this act Pompeii. Okay. Vorik, that's what I was trying to remember yesterday without looking it up. Vorik had it rough with Ponfar. Yes. Was it his first? He was younger. How can you not? That's just being human, my figure, right? Take it in. It's your option. You don't have to listen or not. It's up to you to decide what to do with the material. There you go. Did we watch the same thing? I have that feeling a lot these days, but I'm like, are we living on the same planet? That's what level I'm at. Oh, 200 characters. Okay. I'm sorry, Pedro. I didn't mean to. I should have acknowledged you. Thank you. In fact, I thought I did, but it's been crazy. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, even after the cons. This is what I mean. See my figure? Yeah. Orion dancers in my key art. You're the cream in my coffee. You're the Orion dancers in my key art. Thank you. Ground force. That was bad. That was really bad. Oh, and then we have the Schrebergarten in Germany, which has 1/3 of everything. 1/3 of growing food, 1/3 of flowers, and 1/3 of just Rassen, where you can sit. Sorry, Calvin. Alex Enberg needed to be in Voyager more. They show had all those reoccurring characters and didn't use them enough. I mean, look what happened to poor Joe Casey. Preaching to the choir, preaching to the choir. Yes, they still exist. Even though their main product, lineal TV, is dying, which is why they're trying to branch out and get a model that works on digital, which is why Parrot Analytics for years. Remember when we used to do the Parrot Analytics here? Yeah, when they were free. Casey was sent to his room in season 1 and didn't come out until season 7. Teach him to stay in his room, right? Yeah. Maybe it's top 10 because of the fans, even if it isn't the favorite. Well, there you go. See? As written note, you want to remember something at timestamp 150. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for that, Christoph. Boy, everybody's in a talky mood today. Wow. Good Lord. Cisco is sometimes lighthearted when he talks to Jitsi. That's very true, old man. Maybe sci-fi fans in general rediscovering the advantage of non-serialized shows where every episode's A and B story gets closure right away. Well, if serialized shows, now Lost was on ABC, right? Walking Dead was on Turner Class. No, what was Walking Dead on? I never watched it, so I don't remember. Vampires, fine. No thanks. Why, zombies? No thanks. It's like, oh my God, can we please get through this trend? You thought Westerns, too many Westerns were boring. A lot of that, I think, was done to sell the channels. If it was serialized, people wouldn't look away. They wouldn't turn away. They wouldn't churn and cancel their subscriptions. Thank you, Tom. What was that? The Motel 6 fiddle music. Yes. Not only do they have to go back, they have to go back to their home, which was the whole thing of you have to take Spock to Vulcan, even against orders. That's where it came from. Yeah. Now, I don't think the Vulcans said, thanks to this Earth fish species, our biology developed. It was just a comparison. It was a comparison. Well, Captain, I have to say this is very helpful. Yes. Diese Episode erscheint in Deutschland aus der Hörspielkassette beim Carlsen. Hierfür werden größtenteils, oh, it's an I. Größtenteils die Synchro-Dialog aus der Versenfangen gewertet. Jeder beschreibt noch ein Susset. Umlaut A. German was my favorite language to sing. Asking again, is that a Tribble with shades behind you and near plushy Leonard? Yes, I thought I said last time. Yes, that is a Tribble. Oh my God. Albie and Chris are going to kill me. I was talking about the working Tribble from Tribulations I had from set. I won't touch it, but that's a Tribble from the set of Tribulations. And the eyeglasses, those are 3D glasses from the Borg encounter. the second ride that was added to the experience. The last time I went through the Borg encounter and they were closing in a week, 2 weeks at most, on the way out in the box where you dropped your shades, I knew they were going to be thrown out in 2 weeks. I kept one. So sue me. But those are the 3D glasses from the Borg experience at the experience. Sitting, yeah. So it feels like a 60. You miss Starlog. I think a lot of people do too. Ed Gross would love to hear your comment, and Carrie O'Quinn would love to hear that too. Yeah. Maybe this was just a German thing, Captain. Yeah. I think it was just a German wacky European license deal. So they could do almost anything because they had the rights to do it. And then Americans will hear about something and go, what? What? Kind of the way the fact file started. What? Brit, right, Pedro? Yeah, that's unheard of here. The things the Brits had to do to get you to buy a magazine was amazing, as they told me, as Eagle Moss and Titan told me. That happens all the time over there when newsstands and paper existed. Over here, you would be shot dead for doing that as a publisher. It's not the same strategy because over here, the newsstands, the old newsstands, wanted everything to be neat and clean. If you bagged a paperback book with your magazine, you'd have half the capacity. You could only put out 3 or 4 issues before it stacked up and went off the shelf. So, in England, the newsstand, the news, what was it? What was the name, the British distinctly English name for that? Your news agent? Yes, your news agent probably had deeper stacks. But in America, the magazine shelf would be like this, and you only get 1, 2, 3. They would go, I'm not putting this on my shelf. It's too clumsy. It falls off. So, yeah. Cultural differences. There you go. Okay. Everybody's jumping in. Well, it did make it easy then for him to get down and get guttural. No, I mean, beyond, yeah. I would, if you were any other man, I would kill you where you stand. Wow. Colin. Hi, TV Colin Campbell. I know you've been, is this a different channel? You're on Twitch. Kickstarter for a digital complete Trek magazine hardcover best of. Gang, how about a Kickstarter to digitize Communicator? The official Star Trek fan club magazine and Communicator. That's, yeah. There's the same sort of pronunciation with Takuvma. Yes, big time. Yes, Max still does have his Ferengi teeth. I wonder if Armin did too, and I wonder if Melissa has Aaron's teeth or whatever. This week's Grin analysis hit every problem I had with this week's Strange New Worlds. Talking about this is Starfleet. Okay, what did you think about my reaction? Didn't know, right? Well, there's going to be a lot. Thank you for that. There's going to be a lot of assimilation. Some of it's just time to go by. It just takes time to, first of all, be on top of the factoids. When you have time, when we had 2 seasons a year coming out, that was a churny time that we took. Half the fallow time was just spent catching up with the implications of what had happened on both series, even. And even Voyager after a while, because you're like, it's all just Delta Quadrant crap. Well, eventually the Delta Quadrant became, necessary and important. Just talk to Prodigy about that, much less everybody else. But that's where it is now. It's like, oh my God, it's going to be years before we can totally assimilate a lot of this and just get on top of it. Just have it in our list of things to retcon, to canon smooth. Ranger Donnie, you think the latest episode, This is Starfleet, is the weakest of the season, though you love documentaries and mockumentaries. Okay. Have you ever seen The Atomic Cafe? It's as the years go by, I realized it had a huge impact on me when I was in my 20s, in grad school era. Well, this is what I thought, Zahir. I said, sometimes if I don't have it off the top of my head, I have an inclination, but I try to backpedal a little bit. I thought he did. Yes. Yeah, Vorik had a rough bonfire. Clearly, we do live on the same planet, but on different continents. Well, how does that explain what the hell almost half of my country are doing? Or the universe they seem to be living in. That ground force intro sounded like a version of a Doctor Who intro. Okay, I'll take it. Oh, Larry, one British TV show I've been addicted to watching right now is David Dickinson's Real Deal. It's an auction show, great fun. Okay, we'll take a look and see. Oh yeah, what happened to the dead parrot? The parrot analytics are still going. In fact, they've elevated themselves so much they're not giving their ratings away for free on their site anymore. Bye, Monas. Good night to see you. Strange New needs a mockumentary of Spinal Tap. See, some fans would think that This Is Starflight is a mockumentary. The new SNW, yes, 4.5 Vulcans, where my head is, drops tomorrow evening. Oh, Wednesday has new episodes starting September 3rd on Wednesday. And everybody, don't forget, the Con audio podcast starts on Star Trek Day on Tuesday. And then after that, it drops on Mondays afterwards. Thank you. Walking Dead was on AMC. What was I trying to say? American Movie Channel. That's why I was trying to say Turner Classic Movies. Thank you, guys. Hey, Anton, are you decloaking here out of your lurking? But nice to see you. Yes, Captain Calvin. That was the Saturday morning serials. They would show those on Saturday mornings that kids would go down and they would come back week after week, buy their ticket money. That they were indeed serials. Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers and a lot of the westerns. A lot of the western stars were in serial things. They were just Zombies of the Stratosphere with Leonard Nimoy playing an alien. Yeah, looked like the Cage Spock. Oh, Star Trek Family is starting a watch party split screen. Okay. Well, here you go, Pedro. They're not TV shows, they're content. They're cans of applesauce rolling off the assembly line. Just heat them and eat. Crack one open today. Stick it in the microwave. Yep. And we all know how that turned out, Dan. That's interesting. Now we know why Spuck. Who is the Spuck you speak of? Oh, I can fake pretty well. I did learn pronunciation doing it speed reading, and I have a vague idea what I'm saying. But look, the highlight of my life, Captain Calvin, was going into the There was a multiplex theater in Munich, and one of the theaters was an American movie theater. So the locals, the Germans, if they wanted to see an American movie in English, not dubbed or subtitled, probably a hit movie, that theater would show it. And it was a thing, right? You could go test your German. But if you knew English well, which tons of Germans do, they start having English in what, the 4th grade, 5th grade? Thank God for conventions, for Americans going over English too. The highlight of that whole muscle in my brain was going to that theater. I forget now, maybe it was Contact. I have to ask Janet. I think the movie we saw in the American theater in the local multiplex in Munich, I think it was Contact with with that's Shelley Long, Jodie Foster. I don't I'm not comparing Shelley Long and Jodie Foster. I wanted to say Shelley Foster, which made no sense. We were seeing that movie. I went out to the concession stand to where they had ice cream, and I just ordered. I pointed at the cone and I said, at the chocolate chip, chocolate splitten, and I said, "Eine Kugel," and I just kind of mumbled it like no big deal. And the guy nodded and got my Eine Kugel chocolate splitten. And I was like, I faked that guy out. He didn't know I was American at all. He didn't know I was not a native speaker. I was so proud of myself. Simple, simple, simple. No big deal. Anyway, there's a making of the Borg Encounter 4D. Yeah, I have to see that on a DVD or just on YouTube somewhere. Well, if it was on YouTube, it probably was on a DVD somewhere. Considering I was at, when they did the sickbay lab live action shootings, I was the props consultant and got paid to be a props assistant for 2 days. That was an interesting experience, working with the prop guy there, who was not a Star Trek person. He was just a props person. And he didn't quite get that I was a consultant. I came about 10 minutes late the second day, and he was like ripping me like we were union, and I was about to get fired. And I was like, I was just dirt to him. He treated the way he would treat an employee that did that. But it's like, you didn't know, no one told you that I was a consultant, not a union. I'm not in the union. Anyway, it was funny. Jackpot, you probably couldn't make it out and probably forgot you told us. I love the setup for that. Oh, I'm sorry if Facebook is messed up. Oh no. Mit der Gesamtsituation unzufrieden? Whatever that means. The fact files were not just a German thing. They were definitely English to start. They were definitely not American. They did have a license. At one point, they had the German, which was the longest non-English. But for a while, they actually had a French and an Italian fact files. And then the DVD collection that years later was sold in Japan that recycled fact files. Well, there you go, Pedro. What else do you need to know? Hey, it's a small town. Captain, I could sit here and read your German and not know what I'm saying at all day. It is back in Traumschiff Surprise. Ich bin eine Wolkenet Vulgaris and werden zwei Hand. See? 1, 2, 3. 300 suffix. Die werden 300 Jahre alt. Okay, guys, this is descending madly. You don't need to have me sitting here badly pronouncing German at you. Okay, that actually was intentional. You all we were repeating it so much. Stopping with the free gifts led to the lower sales. Shell game. There you go. Hey, May, you're very welcome, my dear. It's good to see you in Vegas as always. It looks like it's alive for everybody, Christoph. Yep. There you go, Dwight. Now there's an attitude to take. There's a position to take. You're on the fence and you're just enjoying the tennis match, watching the arguments. But the arguments are civil. It's not ridiculously dirty, clickbait, stupid stuff. Has the show gone offline? I don't think so. Hey, Andrew, you're here. I'm working on it, sir. Make it happen. Hey. Very weird. The Facebook died. Interesting. Good thing I'm not leaning on Facebook for years anymore. Lost Wishes. It was Peter Benchley's Amazon. Yes. Was that the Project Vulcan affair? Which nothing to do with. There's some wacky man from Uncle Moments there. Hey, Cassandra. Yes. Cass, it was good to see you at your first, should have not been the first, but your first Portal Roundtable the other night, ADT. Why I went backwards, I'm not sure. For those that joined midstream, can I give a quick summary of my reaction to This is Starfleet? Well, number one, second chances. Second Opinion with Dr. Trek is live now. It went up about 3 or 4 hours ago. So you can see that. I'm sorry, I take that back. This is Starfleet was up on Saturday night. Basically, I was surprised they held up the documentary for the whole hour. I thought, okay, well, here's the Beto payoff. Okay, here's why he's here. I guess I went to it not having a low bar, but just surprised that it was better than I thought. I was surprised that the mission, the Jutari, was as good as it was. And I was thinking how old-time Star Trek it was, better than anything this season. So people should be happy with that. Instead, people were saying that the documentary ruined it. I enjoyed the wacky security camera angles and thought there was something new and different, especially the 3/4 view. And I really thought it was the way they leaned into the security camera with Pike and Una way over at the corner talking. It wasn't pretty. It was what a security cam might look like. One thing I didn't even think about at the time, though, and it's been hitting me just in the last 24 hours, is how paranoid you must not be to have security cameras that blanketing the ship that much. It's very it's just immediate post 9/11 paranoia going on there, or Orwell 1984. There's cams everywhere, but I think Europeans are more used to that than we are still. My biggest complaint about it, I think, was the fact that I didn't see Beto's narrative bent, his skewing. I didn't see that coming until he said it out loud to Uhura, and then I understood her reaction. But she had such a big but calm, sweet Uhura reaction to it. I could tell how big it was. And then they zoomed along, and he said, okay, well, I've learned. Here's humanizing moments of people doing art and guitar playing. So I was wrong. I thought that was a legitimate question that could have been answered or explored more, because it has been. It wasn't made up. People were like, you're insulting Star. It's like, no, that's a question everybody's talked about for ages. That goes back to the early 60s. But I just thought that the episode tossed it off and rushed it. I didn't mind the documentary so much as I thought they kind of, I know it was supposed to be a twist and reveal, I guess, in that way. But I wish Beto had been exposed earlier. And if the footage that we saw was the documentary and he inserted himself into the documentary and reformed and said, okay, well, I think I was wrong. Here's how I was wrong. And then let Uhura have the last word. That's okay. I just wish it had been earlier. If they feel like that couldn't have been done any sooner in the structure than it was, okay. But it still felt like it came out of nowhere, because I just thought he was being a good journalist asking pressing questions. And the fact that he's typing in, he has all of Mbenga's shady black ops background there, which I guess is public record. It's redacted, the details, but the fact that it even exists, he has that record, was interesting. So, and I thought it was, I know they were dealing with contractual non-obligations, but to have neither Pelia nor Scotty in that seemed interestingly weird, odd. My rational brain knew that. So I didn't mind it. I was surprised at the 40 minutes. I wondered if that meant there was a lot cut for various reasons. I didn't mind it. It wasn't my favorite, but I was surprised that they did as much with it as they did. So there. I was surprised they stuck with it the whole episode, that they made choices that didn't back away from it. And I enjoyed but I also dawned on me what started off as a typo. They have the same start date on all the security camera footage, but it made me realize how fast the whole Jutari episode happened. It must have happened like within an hour, like start to finish. It was almost like real time. So that's me. Yes. Satan's robot in Captain Product was actually a robot. And Captain Proton's jacket was Commander Cody's jacket, the up, down, fast, slow controls. Exactly verbatim from, I want to say, Commander Cody. Yes. Well, see, you are a curious type, Captain. Yeah. Yeah. Love Jodie Foster on Cheers. That's the ship. That's the show that made Jodie Foster. Okay, I'm gonna let you Germans and Austrians in the GSA have your discussion. Oh, well, I'll take that comparison all day long. I wasn't trying to mock Danny Kaye, but okay. Hi, Monson B1. I'll let the Brits talk about that because I don't know what the guest lineup is at Blackpool. Oh, for Trek Convention. This is Destination, right? Isn't the other one coming along? I know everything I know about this. I get tipped off from our European Portales members when we do the European midday. Ask Dr. Trek, but it's the shreds of what was Destination Star Trek, the licensed, right? But what's the other convention company that's leaning into doing some Treks? It's never done Trek before. Oh, why do I have a Z in my brain? I can't think what their name is. Everybody, why? I feel like we had 2 shifts today. Hi, Morrow. New joining us. Please tell me that I haven't missed your name before, or you've been lurking and just jumped up. So hello and thanks. You personally dislike Strange News. Seems a show at the service of directors to practice and actors to try their skills. Interesting take versus trying to tell a story. Bush can do fights. Let's turn her into Laura Croft then. Meh. Well, she had Protocol 12, right? She had Cheerios. She had her Wheaties and her Cheerios. Big G, little O, go with Cheerios. Interesting. But hello, pop up again. Keep popping up. Oh, talking. I'm not sick. There you go. Yes, absolutely. But Werner Klemperer is not playing a German, I don't think. I've not read a Star Trek licensed book since How Much for Just the Planet. And not because I don't enjoy them, or most of them, but because I just didn't have any brain. I had to devote it to, I couldn't confuse screen canon and book canon and book factoids versus aired screen canon. And I know now we have the memory beta, thank God, to separate that. And I can go research if I need to. But I'm not going to jump in now. I read so much about them, it takes the place of it. Well, Trexploration, thank you. And thank you guys again for everybody go like and subscribe Trexploration. They've got a good show. I mean, they had me on. And they've had a kind of some names you would know this season too for their season. That was a good club to join. I will say that too. Hey, Red Shirt Bob. No problem. You're here and speaking up now. That's the thing. Look at all these folks coming out of the woodwork here. Hi, Danny. Danny, I think you've been with us before too, maybe, but good to see you. I think the producers hate Strange New Worlds since the fans wanted it, but they don't actually have a passion or vision for it. I don't think that's true. I think there's creative choices that get made that you might just, you're sitting around the bar having a good old, or your living room having a good old fan debate with your Trek buddies. And I think they do at the same level. But somebody ultimately is got the keys. That's when I talk about when I have a chance to have the keys, when I have a chance to do a magazine or do a big project or something, I do it my way, get the people that I like to work with, that I value the way they look at Trek or whatever it is we're doing. And I think that's it. And I think that it shouldn't always be about Alex Kurtzman. I'll say that. There we go. It's the Project Strigus affair. But there is an episode of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. called The Vulcan Affair, the Project Vulcan Affair. This is the Project Strigus affair. Yes. There you go. Sorry, some of you seem to have some gremlins. We'll see if my restream comes out okay. Huh? Facebook now considers this Trekland Tuesdays Live as ended after about 2:08. Maybe there's a limit. I don't think we ever went that long. Weirdly, hotel Wi-Fi could do Facebook Live, but not. Christoph, what can I tell you? What can I tell you? That's interesting. Okay. Maybe with the current climate, they can't really get too much into the ethical debates and dilemmas Star Trek usually to the first season. No, Danny, I don't think. I think they're just enjoying feeling. I think they feel like let's explore other genres and show that we can and have fun and still deliver a Trek meme, a Trek trope, a Trek feel. That's certainly what Jutani was this time. And technically, the whole thing about is Star Trek soldiers or scientists was solved in favor of scientists with that ending. You know, they're not horrible people. They know the arts. So, but I just felt like too little time was spent on that. But Restream still forwards Facebook comments live. I don't know, Christoph. I don't know. The AV pickups everywhere on the ship seem to be as much for the intership use of the crew as for security purposes. What, you're spying on your friends? I'm not sure exactly where you're going with this, Dwight, but there you go. The 40 minutes offset the gorgeous effects of the Space Dragon. Okay. Yeah, less time was less budget for everything. Star Fury. Thank you, guys. That's what I was trying to think of. What did I get this? I don't know. I only opened the beginning of it and I never finished it. It's the Harry Mudd cover. Yeah. Thank you, Christoph, for supplying links for everybody in the dead Facebook. That's funny that you're still posting. Hi, Maro. Yes, you're new to the channel, but comparing this to the Orville, for instance, the Orville seems a lot more Trek than Strange New Kurtzman. Better stories, characters, compliments for the stream. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I'll never get used to this being called a stream and not a show, but that's where we are. Oh, you guys, it's like we've never seen each other before. What was the difference in dealing with Alex Kurtzman compared to Rick Berman, or have I not had to communicate? I've only talked to Alex in brief bits, mostly at the strike, and I've never been in a position or had the need. I need to, though, and nothing else for the Trek Files, have a moment to talk to Alex. Rick, I have. And of course, Rick, what was it, 5? God, maybe it's 10 years ago. What was an anniversary for Q Who? That would have been 87, 88, 88. Geez, was that 2013? or just 2023 or 2018. An anniversary for Q Who we talked about, since Maury Hurley was passed, talked about the Q Who formation of the Borg, the genesis of the Borg. So I can't really compare. And if nothing else, I haven't dealt with Alex even on a daily basis, even from afar, the way I did with Rick all the time. So I can't really answer that, Pedro. Maybe I'll get to where I can, although I don't think it'll ever be accurate with Alex because I'm in different places at the moment. My wife isn't working for Modern Trek in the script office. I'm not a licensee from across the lot. It's just, it's different that way. But as interactions, that would be a thing. We'll see. Everybody sounding off on your comment there, Morrow. Oh, do I sense a little fan disagreement brewing here? What? You're going to workstation AV pickups was workstation to workstation intercoms. Oh, one thing I was happy surprised by regarding What is Starfleet was finding out that Sean Majumder, oh, okay, that actor that was in the, Latani, which apparently Latani were named for Tani. Okay. Whoever looks at the, yes, this will be a huge mob of people looking at the Facebook comments for this particular live stream today. Oh, come on, Morrow. Tell me what you really think. Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. I don't know how much the topic today was about what will distance do to our knee-jerk reactions to shows. You guys having your crosstalk here now. This is oh, hi, Captain Kevis Anaximander. Captain Kev on the Anaximander. Glad you could join our time stream, our dimension. This is what I'm saying. A lot of people thought that the Jutari was so cool that it should have been the whole show and not weighed down being the interior core framed by the documentary. The kill count of 9 million would constitute genocide. Oh, excuse me, guys. That's not about you. It's about me. You're not a fan of the jokey phone collectors thing. Okay. It was an emergency. It was a crisis. And it was a little bit like the ending of Picard. You couldn't do anything. You had to be off the grid. I didn't say that in my second opinion. Everybody go like and subscribe. Second Opinion YouTube channel right now. All you new YouTubers. I should have mentioned that. It reminded me of the whole Pioneer Day Borg plot. They had to stay on the Enterprise survived because it was off the grid and not connected into the communications hubs. You got a pleasant surprise out of What is Starfleet. Sean Majumder, a 15-year member of this hour, has 22 minutes. Oh, Newfoundland's most famous TV sketch comedy troupe, and he's totally buried under prosthetics. He must have been a big Trekkie. That's interesting. Yep, it is, Christoph, and I feel fine. You have learned not to. Well, is there a difference between criticizing and attack? We jump to these blitzkrieg bomb verbs in headlines for clickbait. You've been banned so many places where it's now trendy to dislike modern Trek. When was that? Is that still the case that you find? Are they mainstream places? Not, is that, I mean, I get that from 2018, 2019, but is it really still that bad? Danny Lajal, how do I feel about Strange New wrapping up the story with only 40 plus episodes? I don't like it. Do you think that's enough episodes for the show to become a classic in the future, or will it just become forgotten stream? Well, what did Picard? Picard only had 30 episodes, right? 10 a year strictly. I mean, the original series, Enterprise had one more year than the original series, and they thought it was a failure, and it had 100, the old 100 thing. So marker. Discovery had a little bit more. Discovery had 60 something. I don't think it won't be forgotten. The musical and the crossover with Lower Decks will never be forgotten. So yeah, I wish they had more episodes. I wish as they go forward into plunging into new series, especially after Academy, they will learn for how to do Trek in today's environment with the model, with the distribution model of streaming, with the model of doing serialized on some level, even if it's just character arcs that are underneath individual plots. Pedro, Pedro, you can cut loose if you want to. I appreciate that. I would not look. I have a hard time thinking I would have to ban you, Pedro, as long as you were respectful and civil. I have a lot of things to say about modern Trek too. Part of what I would say though is the ship has sailed. We can't undo time and go back and undo things. I'm not a prophet. I'm not a wormhole builder. The official Twitter page really didn't like me. Yeah, that's kind of consider the room. Yeah, not just read the room builder. But I will tell you about this, Pedro. I did have people for, I keep wanting to say, for the space castle is hollow, and I had touched the virtuals. The one with the virtual room and all that. What is that? Through the lens of time. Whatever that's supposed to mean. I knew it had a meaning, but it just doesn't fit to me in my head. I just went off on that one because just some of the basic storytelling logic in the Star Trek universe was not there. I thought it was intriguing, and a lot of stuff was good, but just the basic groundwork of Star Trek that I thought was off. That the characters are just acting stupid. It would have been fine for a Scooby-Doo mystery, but it wasn't the way the characters are behaving, and they're supposed to be. They suddenly all forgot how to scan and use tricorders, and I was like, what? Anyway, and then suddenly halfway through, they remembered it, and they picked them up and started scanning everything again and taking data and records. I was like, what happened the first half hour? That's me. Well, see, that's the thing. At Astra Prospera or Aspera. Come on, man. Prodigy was peak. May I share why they decided to do 10 episodes only versus other shows doing 22, 23? Is it cost? What was the point where all shows started go 10 seasons? It was a British model to begin with, just for broadcast. And we all were like, oh, how wimpy. I'm like, I think that first, it was Doctor Who coming to America that made us all aware of this weird. They did the quarter episodes for a long time, 4-part episodes, but then, and I guess for amortizing, got more bang for the buck. And then the 10 episode seasons, and we're like, well, how wimpy is that? Those Brits can't handle 26 shows a season, 22 shows a season. But it really came in with the serial. They're trying to make the mini movies, big TV, cinematic TV. And maybe it really went crazy with Game of Thrones' effect on all this. Yeah. And if you remember the first season of Discovery was supposed to have 14 and they added an extra, I believe. I mean, I know they had 15 the first year, but I think the plan was to go 14, 15. And then the second season, they did have 14. And then I think after that, it cuts and goes down until we get to, they did 10 the last year, but before they went to 10, they'd already made the decision to make all the Picards a 10 episode season. So that was coming along as supposedly the industry standard, even though I think we've more than once exposed how the streaming emperor has no clothes. But that's the common wisdom now. And of course, now you see some series have 8, and some of the British series have 8 or 6, depending on the material and where they feel like they are, the budget. Wow. Is this X Twitter? Other people have been banned and brought back. See, I think so. And even if you get totally, if Lower Decks goes away as far as availability and you're glad you bought your discs for something crazy, but you have new people watching that episode, there's enough established about the Lower Deckers, even though it just starts off cold. I love the way it starts off cold in Lower Decksville, animated. And if you have no clue about Trek or even no clue about Lower Decks, you're like, what is going on? And then you get the crossover and come back. And then seeing the strange new crowd as animation was hysterical at the end. It was very cool. So I agree. Oh, thank you, Captain Kev. Yeah, why did I not mention Tin Man? Somebody else did that too and just said Gomtu, which was the alien name. I should have thought of that. That was yet another case of the alien, especially spacefaring alien, getting treated that way. Okay, that's 2 votes for Prodigy, as if it needed them. I know, Pedro. I know. I know. Just for talking your opinion, Christoph. Okay, sorry. Oh. Okay, Pedro. We heart you. This is what I say. I hear lots of people say Lower Decks is their favorite modern Trek and their favorite Trek of all time because it includes everybody. So you get all of it in Lower Decks. Oh, yeah. Christoph, you're up way, way, way late. Oh my gosh, Liebchen, now it's you. Everybody is like, this is like, it's like the bus station. Everybody's just coming and going today. It's good to see you. There you go. See, everybody comes to that cultural shift, but it's everything. It's their reality shows, it's their cooking and house shows. It's funny. It's everything, much less their detective and crime shows. Yeah, and then sometimes it's ridiculous. That's the way. I loved Endeavor. That's the way it was, and I loved Foyle's War, even though it was 20 years ago. I found it a couple of years ago. Found it in the pandemic. Oh my god, I love Foyle's War. Okay, so you were banned for good reasons that make them look bad. Okay, I think we're really at the end of the chat, gang. Look at me. Look at me. Okay, Red Dwarf getting another revival. Whew. Trek Core originally banned you in the Trek movie. Ironically, we're still sending me competition Star Trek online codes after I got banned for Trek Quarter a year. Okay, well, you're here. Oh, yay. Amazing, right? It came so far. And look at all the Star Trek canon threads it got into. Amazing. Amazing. You're just being a little bit American honest there with them. There, it's fast and furious over here. It's elbows and yeah, that's true too. Except weren't they trying to? They were trying to deactivate it, right? Not keep it going. Anyway, thank you, man. Everybody, thank you so much. This will be a live one for the live one. It's time to go. Just a real quick thought that I love all of my Patreon folk. Boom. And want to thank them. If you want to be a Patreoner for me, I would appreciate it. It's very simple. In American, it's patreon.com/TreklandLive. A $5, $10 level is all you need to help out. It would be awesome if you could do that. Also, I didn't mention, but when we are back with the Trek Files, I'll be talking again. Next week, we are back. If everything goes well this week, we're back with the Trek Files. And if you want to be in Trekophiles Tonight, which is our live show that's all about the Trek Files every 2 weeks on Monday at 4 Pacific, jump into the Roddenberry Mission Log Patreon for as little as $1 a month. $1 a month, and you can get access to all of their Patreon shows, and some of them aren't even connected to the Roddenberry podcast. They're just fans who are running funky shows about other IPs, other franchises, and just some wonky ideas for live get-togethers. There's several dozen, I think. Although I will just say the week is full. We're at Monday at 4. I'd love to have you live with us talking about the Trek Files and Trek in general. But also just catching the Trek Files again. We'll be back next week there at thetrekfiles.com to get the whole package on Memory Alpha or podcast.roddenberry.com. That's all of that. And of course, if you're headed this way to LA, if you didn't hear me say it at the beginning, love to have you do a Trekland Treks with me. Your chance to have a customized what you want to do away mission, a landing party, depending on your century, of location sites, not the stages, but the location sites. Although going to Paramount Pictures is an option too, don't forget. It's a special day. TreklandTreks.com or LarryNemechek.com. There's all the socials. When am I going to put Blue Sky up here? I don't know. I need to. Larry Nemechek there, and the old guys at Twitter. Trekland, Larry's Trekland on Facebook and Instagram, and here on YouTube. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. We've got to get the subscriber count up just so the world takes me seriously alongside all those other yahoos that have no experience in this franchise, and they have 1.5 million buckies on their subscription number counter meter tally. So please do that. And of course, portal47.net. If you just want to know all the Star Trek you had no idea about, from the backstage world, the business side of Trek, you want to join us in Portal 47. The portales are here. And again, the guest tomorrow night, the August guest is Gary Tischel, who started off as a B camera operator with Marvin Rush, the end of Voyager and all of Enterprise. He's now a DP in his own right, doing his own shows, has his own IMDb, but he has those 4, 5, 6 years of Trek memories of knowing the people, knowing the details, knowing the folks he worked with behind and in front of the camera. Yes. And anyway, and his own personal photos, which are awesome to see too. And just hear that adds so much to your enjoyment of Star Trek and individual shows. He's our guest. Last month, we had the Benson sisters, who were staff writers who are amazing, and were staff writers in the first season of Prodigy. So it's somebody that's a tiny slip back there of the guests for that portion of the whole Portal 47 package. Portal47.net. Go check it out. Meanwhile, gang, this has been some chat session today. I don't know if I stirred everything up with this headline or what. That passes for clickbait for me. Otherwise, hey, everybody, please take it easy out there. Stay healthy, do all the things, stay awoke, check your sources. And yeah, trek well, everybody. Don't forget, second opinion every weekend.